The lights of Kentucky Performing Arts shine on more than our shows. They illuminate a pathway of discovery for all throughout our Commonwealth. A pathway of creativity, confidence, possibility, of brilliance, inspiration, curiosity, and wonder. For 40 years, Kentucky Performing Arts has led a pathway to unite the Commonwealth around the joy of discovering the arts, and will continue to shine this light far into the future.
Good morning. The most important responsibility of government is to keep our people safe while protecting your constitutional rights and treating everyone fairly. As your mayor, I made a promise to uphold that responsibility, and I have. In upholding that promise, today I'm announcing that we have signed a historic consent decree agreement with the United States Department of Justice. This historic agreement will build upon and accelerate the transformational police reform that we have already begun here in Louisville. This agreement meets the three conditions I insisted upon from the beginning of our negotiations with the Department of Justice. First, the agreement had to build upon significant police reforms we began when I took office 2 years ago. Second, the agreement could not handcuff our police as they work to prevent crime in our city. And third, the agreement had to be financially responsible and set clear terms for how and when it would end. This consent decree agreement will ensure our officers are committed to protecting the constitutional rights of residents while improving public safety and preventing violent crime for our entire community. Unlike some other cities, we didn't wait to take action until a consent decree was signed. Significant improvements were needed immediately and have been implemented by LMPD over the last 2 years. And under Chief Humphrey's leadership, positive changes continue to happen every day. LMPD has rewritten its policies, revised its procedures, and reorganized its departments. Officers are getting better and more training, and more and better care when they need it. We are collecting the data we need to make good decisions and measure whether we are meeting our goals. We instituted a new focus on de-escalation and significantly expanded our deflection program to ensure more effective interventions for people in crisis. As a result, we are already well on our way to implementing many of the agreements in the consent decree. The Department of Justice saw the action we've already taken and our commitment to aggressively implement police reform. As a result of these improvements and our commitment to action, the people standing on this stage, to me, many others in this room and throughout our city, have crafted a new form of consent decree, unlike any other city in America. This is a unique agreement that focuses on accountability and rapid improvements without ballooning costs that could compromise other investments that our city so desperately needs. As I have said throughout this entire process, clear performance measures must be included in the agreement, and a clear path and timeline to exit the agreement also had to be included. This agreement includes both of those essential elements. Under this decree, there will be no moving the goalposts. Our officers will have clear guidance and clear benchmarks. This agreement focuses on good police work, not on more paperwork. This agreement sets us up for real and lasting improvements. And very importantly, it also goes hand in hand with our work for reducing violent crime in our city. This agreement is also financially responsible for our city. It provides us with the ability to continue investing in improving LMPD, improving other first responder agencies, and strengthening our violence prevention work in all of its forms. Importantly, this agreement caps the amount our city will spend on an out-of-state monitor. I am a person who acts with a sense of urgency. This agreement reflects this commitment to action and sets us up on a path to keep making rapid improvements and be in full compliance in 5 years or less, half the time that other cities have taken. To the men and women of LMPD, thank you for protecting us every day. Our city appreciates you, and so do I. I know you all are committed to public service for the right reasons and want to do your job the right way. There will no longer be any confusion about our goals and our strategy, as this will continue our new direction with a focus on our community's safety. Every resident in every corner of our city deserves to be safe and feel safe. Under this agreement, and under my and Chief Humphrey's continued leadership, that will continue to happen with proactive community policing that our city seeks. To those in our community who demanded change, thank you for speaking up and staying the course on that long road that led to these reforms. Your willingness to demand meaningful and lasting change helped bring us to this moment. And to our entire negotiating team, thank you for your tireless work. More than 65 meetings, plus countless phone calls, countless reviews of documents. Thank you for ignoring the noise and taking the time to get this 242-page agreement right for our city, our people, and our future. I'd like to particularly thank the leaders of our negotiating team, Chief Humphrey and Deputy Chief Emily McKinley from LMPD, our lead attorney on this matter, my Deputy General Counsel, Megan Metcalf, along with my General Counsel and Chief of Staff, David Kaplan. We are also very grateful to the excellent legal work that we received from Jefferson County Attorney Mike O'Connell and his team. Thank you all. To everyone in our great city, I make this call to action. Let's now join together. Be a part of the change. Be a part of the solution. We need 200 more officers on LMPD, and there are opportunities for people from all parts of our city, from all backgrounds, with many different experiences. Join the LMPD team. We also need friends and families to say something when they see something suspicious. If you have witnessed a crime, help our police secure our streets and provide answers for victims' families. Call LMPD and let them anonymously know what you know. Community policing is about partnerships with the people of Louisville, and there are so many ways to help, many ways to be a part of the solution. I urge all of us to come together to make our city safer, stronger, healthier, and more united. And finally, thank you to United States Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clarke, and her colleagues at the United States Department of Justice. We appreciate you all working with us to craft a consent decree that acknowledges the improvements our city has already made, that focuses on sustained improvements we all agree on, and provides clarity and goals and a timeline to exit this agreement. We look forward to continuing working with the Department of Justice in the years ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the United States Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clarke.
Good morning. I'm pleased to stand here today with Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg and Louisville Metro Police Department Chief Paul Humphrey. As the mayor shared, today is historic. The Department of Justice and Louisville Metro government have agreed to a court-enforceable consent decree that addresses the United States findings that the Metro government and police department engage in a pattern or practice of conduct that violates the Constitution and federal law. We found that police used excessive force, unlawfully executed search warrants without knocking and announcing, carried out unlawful stops, searches, and arrests, engaged in discriminatory policing with respect to low-level traffic stops and other offenses, violated the rights of people, engaged in protected speech during demonstrations critical of policing, and treated people with behavioral health disabilities unlawfully. This conduct harmed community members and undermined public trust in law enforcement that is essential for public safety. This consent decree marks a new day for Louisville. Our standing together today makes clear that Louisville and the United States share the goals of promoting public safety, ensuring constitutional policing, and strengthening trust between community and law enforcement. This consent decree outlines specific reforms and measurable standards that will help achieve these goals. Implementing these reforms will ensure constitutional policing, promote public safety, and safeguard people's civil rights. I want to take a moment to outline specific provisions of the consent decree. Under the decree, the police department will revise its use of force policies and training. New policies will ensure that officers employ de-escalation strategies, limit dangerous tactics, and refrain from using force to punish or retaliate against people. The department will improve its residential search warrant practices. This includes safeguards on the use of confidential informants, thorough review of search warrant applications, and safe and lawful tactics during warrant executions. The department will ensure that its stops, searches, and arrests are constitutional and that its enforcement practices do not discriminate based on race. The department will develop alternatives to arrests and citations for minor issues like broken taillights. The department will strengthen its responses to and investigations of sexual assault and domestic violence, including investigations into alleged officer sexual misconduct. The Metro government and police department will improve their response to public demonstrations and protests that are critical of policing. The Metro government and police department will improve training, supervision, and accountability systems for officers. They will ensure fair and objective investigations of alleged misconduct and continue to support civilian oversight in Louisville. Significantly, Louisville Metro will provide non-police responses to situations involving behavioral health crises or unhoused people in situations that don't require a law enforcement response. In addition, provisions of the decree require strengthening efforts to promote officer wellness, reflecting a recognition of the real strain and stress that many officers face on the job. I want to take a moment to speak about the process and outline our next steps. Today, the department filed a complaint in federal court that outlines the violations of law. And jointly with the city, we have filed a consent decree with the court to address those violations of law. We're asking the court to make the proposed consent decree an order of the court. The city and the Justice Department will then jointly recommend a monitor to the court who will serve as a neutral third party evaluating the city and police department's compliance with the decree. We're committed to moving earnestly and swiftly down the path of reform set forth in this decree. The Justice Department will move to terminate provisions of the decree as compliance is achieved and sustained, and will work ambitiously with the city to achieve compliance in the road ahead. The community has played and will continue to play a central role in the implementation of the consent decree. We have every confidence that Louisville can and will satisfy the requirements of the decree. As Mayor Greenberg has shared, the city has not been standing by idly and has already undertaken significant reforms. The city banned no-knock search warrants, piloted a program to send behavioral health professionals to some 911 calls, expanded its community-based violence prevention services, and enhanced support for officers' health and wellness. At the end of the process, we expect that the Louisville Police Department will be a model police department and a shining example of constitutional policing. Across the country, our consent decrees have a demonstrable track record of reform achieved alongside decreasing misconduct by police and decreasing rates of crime. In cities like Seattle, New Orleans, Baltimore, and Albuquerque, we've seen sharp declines in unreasonable use of force, declines in unlawful stops and searches, declines in harmful interactions with people experiencing behavioral health crises, and at the same time, we've seen crime decreases in these cities. At the end of the day, the people of Louisville deserve constitutional and effective policing and nothing less. Police officers and Metro government employees deserve clear policies, high-quality training, and the support necessary to do their jobs safely, securely, and lawfully. 4 years ago, after 26-year-old Breonna Taylor was shot and killed by Louisville police officers in her own home in the middle of the night, Louisville, like many cities across the country, experienced protests and civil unrest. Thousands of people marched and gathered downtown for months here in the city. They called for racial justice and accountability. They returned day after day to Jefferson Square Park, which they called Injustice Square or Breeway. Shortly after Ms. Taylor's tragic death, the Justice Department opened a comprehensive civil investigation into the Metro government and police department focusing on systemic issues. I'm proud today to stand shoulder to shoulder with Mayor Greenberg, Chief Humphrey, and their team. Together, we have agreed upon a consent decree that outlines reforms and the pathway to constitutional policing. No doubt, this consent decree includes the strong medicine necessary to cure violations of law and to help promote healing in this community. Let me say, officers have demanding and dangerous jobs. We all know that most officers act honorably under challenging circumstances and at great personal risk. Now we will have an enforceable court order that provides the guidance and tools to truly strengthen their work and efforts to promote public safety. People in Louisville have long advocated for constitutional policing. Their voices, input, and investment in this process will be essential in implementing reform. I want to encourage the public to be vigilant and to lean into this process. Police reform doesn't happen overnight. This process will take time, but it will reap dividends down the line. We call on residents to attend public meetings and hearings, join advisory committees, and comment on draft policies and training. And just as they have for decades, residents can and should push for changes beyond the consent decree process. Federal law is a floor, not a ceiling on what is possible. I want to close again by thanking the mayor and the chief for their leadership and recognize the dedicated career attorneys and professionals at the Justice Department. I want to thank them for their work. They are and always have been the true backbone of the Justice Department. At this time, I'll turn the floor over to Chief Humphrey.
Right now, somewhere in Louisville, a police officer is getting out of a police car and walking up to a door, but he doesn't know what's on the other side of it, so that he can help solve problems for somebody in this community. There's a fugitive unit detective that's sitting in their car doing surveillance for hours, looking for a shooting suspect that needs to be taken off the street. There's an analyst sitting in the real-time crime center pouring through hours and hours of videos, trying to find that one clip that's going to solve a robbery case. This is the type of work that goes on in Louisville every day. It's the type of work that's going to continue to go on in Louisville every day. It's exactly what we need. You've heard us talk about the importance of a plan. That's what this is. This is a plan. It creates a framework that we will build from. Fundamentally, we will remain focused on four things. Community safety is always our core mission. Community safety is more than just public safety. It requires all of us working together at the heart of everything that we do. We will continue to fight violent crime the right way and work collaboratively with the community to make Louisville a safer place to live, work, and visit. We are dedicated to transparency and accountability. We are committed to operating in a way that is open, fair, and equitable. We will set high expectations, and we will hold ourselves to those standards. We're going to enhance our policy and our training. Policy that is revised will set clear, consistent guidelines for officers. Officers receive the specialized training in critical areas so they have the requisite mindset, knowledge, and skills to perform to the best of their abilities. And we will continue to support our officers and our professional staff. We are committed to improving staffing, modernizing facilities, updating equipment, and continuing the growth of our wellness programs to ensure that every member of LMPD is supported and prepared in doing their challenging work. This decree looks significantly different from decrees of the past. That is because of the work that has been done over the past several years here in Louisville and in LMPD. I believe that having an independent monitor gives us an opportunity to have the excellence of our work confirmed for the community. This has to be more than just words on a page. It is a promise to our officers and our professional staff that we are going to lead them and support them the right way without fail. It is a promise to our community that we are responsive to their needs, and we will remain committed to creating an agency that values self-improvement. This decree will not create change on its own. It requires people. The dedicated men and women of LMPD are the driving force behind progress. With hard work, combined with strong leadership and community collaboration, we will succeed. Public safety is an equity issue. Everyone deserves to feel safe and supported and protected by their police department. Today, we are taking more steps towards ensuring that that vision becomes reality. While we have this agreement as a guiding document, this is our city. This is our department. The Department of Justice is not making decisions for the city of Louisville or LMPD. We are. The men and women that you see over there on the command staff, myself and Mayor Greenberg, are making decisions for the city. To our community, thank you for your partnership as we move forward, and thank you for your patience throughout this process. To our officers and professional staff of LMPD, thank you for your dedication, professionalism, and courage that you show every single day. We are going to put in the work that is required to keep people safe and do it in a way that builds community trust and confidence in LMPD. Together, we will build a safer, stronger Louisville.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Ms. Clarke. Before we take questions, a few more things. First, a few more thanks. I want to thank some other of the hardworking men and women of the Jefferson County Attorney's Office who provided excellent legal support and advice to us during this process. Anna Lee Taylor, Lisa Jarrett, Andrew Miller, Sarah Martin, and Jeff Derwin. Thank you all. I also want to outline a few of the next steps, as Ms. Clarke has already begun to do, as she already did in her comments. Today, we'll be posting an RFP for those interested in serving as the independent monitor that will ensure we are meeting our benchmarks. This will be a public selection process. We'll vet those applicants with the Department of Justice, and the community will be able to meet the finalists before a final decision is made. In addition, the Chief and many others will attend community meetings in the coming months and years to hear about the progress. A dashboard will be available to the public to monitor that progress, and the Chief will provide updates on our progress at his regular press briefings. We have now reached the end of a long and important process to draft a consent decree agreement that will ensure an aggressive timeline to make meaningful reforms for our police department while supporting our officers and making sure they can continue to prioritize public safety. By not rushing these negotiations and by sticking to our key requirements, we crafted an agreement that is a testament to our commitment to having a police department that's committed to doing things the right way, a department that's open, that's honest, that's transparent, a police department that's committed to public safety and protecting the civil rights of the people that we all serve. Our negotiations are now complete. Our work is not. With all of us working together, we'll reach our goal of making LMPD the best police department in America. With all of us working together, we'll continue to move Louisville in a new direction. Thank you all for joining us here today, and we're happy to take some questions from members of the media. Paul?
Mayor, give us more details about the qualifications or requirements of this independent oversight.
Yeah, there is an RFP, there's an RFP that sets forth all of that out. Independent monitors in the past for other cities have run the gamut with their experiences. Some have been former police officers, some are attorneys. There have been others that have been engaged. I don't know if you'd like to add more to that, Ms. Clarke.
Yeah, and again, it will be a transparent process. The community will have a role and opportunity to offer input, but we're looking for a neutral who can help to be that independent third party that guides the city and the police department on when they have complied with the requirements of the decree.
Could you talk about the Trump administration coming in, given their history of consent decrees and kind of that we know what's going to happen with Louisville's consent decree once they take over?
I can share today that the Justice Department stands firmly with the mayor and firmly with the chief in agreement on the path that we need to take to address the very severe and significant violations of law that we have uncovered. The career professionals of the Justice Department are the ones who do this work and will carry this work forward in the road ahead.
Certainly, but could you add to that? We'll talk about is Louisville committed to seeing this through, even if the next administration isn't in favor of consent decree?
Yeah, as I said from the very beginning, that we were not waiting for a consent decree. We were taking action. And that's what you've seen over the last 2 years. You've seen our administration and LMPD take action to begin to implement meaningful reforms and improvements, many of which are spelled out in further detail in this consent decree. So this is our agreement. As the chief said, this is our plan. This is our path forward. Regardless of who is president, regardless of who is attorney general, we have made a commitment to the people of Louisville 2 years ago that we were going to implement continuous improvement to LMPD, and that work will continue long into the future.
This is a question for the mayor and the assistant.
Okay, Isaiah, then Roberto. Sorry, Isaiah.
This is a question for you, Mayor, as well as the Assistant Attorney General. I can imagine other cities felt that their agreement wouldn't take that many years as well. What makes you so confident that this situation, this agreement, is good?
Well, so there are several things in the agreement regarding the exit. The question was about the exiting from the agreement. There are two main areas that I'd like to focus on, and then Ms. Clarke, the chief, can certainly focus on others. First, there are distinct sections for each one of the alleged violations that Louisville has committed. And within each of that, there's the opportunity for partial termination of the agreement once substantial compliance has been met. And so all of that is set forth in the agreement very clearly as to how substantial compliance by LMPD in the city is met. And so our hope is that we meet these requirements for a period of 2 years, and that we'll be able to terminate partial portions of the agreement even before that 5-year period. In 5 years, the burden of proof shifts to the Department of Justice to prove that the city is not in compliance with the agreement. All of that is spelled out in far more detail in the consent decree.
And the mayor covered the points here well. This work is not easy, but we recognize and credit the steps that the city and police department have already taken, and we are confident that we can institute reforms in 5 years.
Those steps, in your opinion, are more substantial than other cities?
Every city is unique. Every jurisdiction is unique.
Is Louisville in a better position?
Louisville has not stood by idly. Louisville, to the credit of the mayor and the police chief, have already undertaken preliminary actions that we will build upon and work from in working to address the severe violations of law that we've identified.
Roberto.
We've seen that some cities have said that they don't think that they need federal oversight, that they've made the choice to wait it out and hope that it's not administration which is the consent decree process. That was an option that you had on the table. So why did you choose to sign the decree and go down this path?
I made the decision to sign this agreement for several reasons. First, very early in my term, when I got a call from Ms. Clarke about what their investigation was finding, I stood at this podium nearly 2 years ago and made a commitment to the people of Louisville that we would undertake significant and meaningful reforms and improvement for LMPD and for our entire city government. We have done that. And I thought it was important to uphold that promise that I made when last March I agreed with an agreement in principle to negotiate in good faith towards a consent decree agreement. And I believe keeping one's word is important. Secondly, this is consistent with the work that the chief, myself, and so many others at LMPD and our administration around the city are already doing. So just to be clear, this is not, from our perspective, federal oversight. This is an agreement that our city and the United States Department of Justice have jointly agreed to enter into. I still remain mayor of our city. The chief still remains chief of LMPD that will continue to manage the police department every day, pursuant to the terms of this consent decrement and pursuant to all of the other policies and decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis.
I have a question for Ms. Clarke. I'm looking at some coverage of Baltimore's consent decree. I believe it has 17 pillars. Can you tell us how many pillars this agreement has?
In Baltimore, we are making significant progress. The independent monitor recently found that officers use force less often, and the force that they do use is more likely to be consistent with department law and policy. The monitor found almost no cases in which the Baltimore Police Department's officers violated the First Amendment, including in their response to the 2020 protests related to racial justice. The department also overhauled its fleet of transport vehicles and strengthened its safety practices, resulting in only 11 reported injuries during over 16,000 transports. Our work there continues and is ongoing, but we are proud of the significant progress that is underway as a result of our consent decree and the continued commitment of the community, the police chief, and the mayor.
The feeling that we're getting right now is that this is a new consent decree, so conceivably it would be shorter or maybe have less pillars than Baltimore's. Is that true in any respect?
There is no one-size-fits-all approach. The extensive consent decree that we have negotiated here is responsive to the issues that we identified during our investigation.
What is the officer count right now? And then I have a follow-up.
So our manpower is still allotted for 1,328 officers, and we are at just over 1,000, at about 1,033.
Are you concerned that officers may leave with the weight of this decree coming in?
So the question is, am I concerned that officers will leave in the wake of this? And I think you've seen the manpower shortage that the profession is facing all around the country. I am not concerned. I think what we're doing here is we're creating an environment I'm talking about separate from this decree. What the leadership of LMPD is dedicated to is creating an environment where the police officers feel they have competent leadership that trusts them, believes in them, and is dedicated to supporting them doing their job well. And when they feel that way, they are the best source of recruitment that we can possibly have.
Have you told your officers, listen, stick with us?
Our officers are good. You know, she's made several references to all the things that we've done bad. I would not define our department by its worst moments. I like to define people by their best. And the officers of LMPD are absolutely amazing. They go out there, they do courageous work every day, and they listen to their leadership. And when you look at the success of consent decrees over the years, consent decrees are successful because of leadership, not because of the words on the paper. And you have a group of leaders that are sitting over here that are dedicated to this city, and we're going to get this right. And it is going to end differently from other decrees because we're going to do it.
Now that the consent decree has been signed,
Last question.
will there be any concerted efforts from the city to ensure that protest charges are dropped and or expunged from records?
Now, I defer to the Jefferson County Attorney's Office, the Commonwealth Attorney, for all questions regarding prosecution. This agreement, this conversation is about how we police, how we administer, and all the decisions regarding prosecution are made by the Jefferson County Attorney's Office as well as the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Thank you all very much. We know we will have lots more conversations in the future with the media, with the public. We look forward to continuing those conversations, and we do look forward to joining together to make our city safer, to ensure everyone is treated fairly, and to move our city in a new direction. Thank you all very much.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
We will not make excuses. We will make changes.
It is our duty. It is our duty to we must love and support.
Does the mayor still plan to spend this money in the same way following this announcement? And if so, why does he think he has the authority?
We have nothing.
I've been here every day.
We have nothing to lose but our chance. But our chance.